And they told the Greeks, well, we'll give you this money, but you got to do, you got to do certain things in order to rein in your spending because you just can't keep going this way. And so you'll be able to pay us back, so you can get your economy going again, and so the people can be paying taxes, so you can pay us back and pay what you need to pay, to keep your government and your country going. And the Greeks said, yeah, okay, that sounds good. Yeah, we promise to pay you back. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. And the time comes, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Not going to do it. Can't do it. Can't do it at this juncture. You're going to have to give us an infusion of cash, or you're going to have to restructure the debt, or we're just going to default. And, well, there was another option, too, or you could just forgive the whole debt. That's what they were really trying to push for. Just forgive it. Just give us the money. But that would be a gift. No, we're not begging. We're not beggars. We don't, we're not asking you to give us a gift. You're just helping out a fellow European Union country. Yeah, you want a gift? No, we don't want a gift. We just want the option to not to have to pay you back. So you want a gift? No, we want a loan, but we just want to have the option of not paying you back. Kind of like, the kid walks into Harvard and says, okay, I want to go to school here. And Harvard says, okay, we'll take you. We'll accept you. This is what it's going to cost you for a 4-year education, room and board, and books and tuition and all that kind of stuff. $250,000 is what it's going to cost you total. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. No negotiating. Yeah, sure. Okay, we can do that. I don't have $250,000 though. When am I going to get that? Harvard says, you can apply for loans from banks. And the student says, yeah. Because you know what, student, you get an education here at Harvard. We're going to, we can't guarantee you, but, it's Harvard. So you're most likely going to get a job when you get out. So it doesn't matter what your degree is. So, and if you decide to take, 4 years or 4.5 years of underwater ancient historical art, then, you're going to get a job afterwards because, you're going to have a Harvard degree, a bachelor's degree in underwater historical art from Harvard. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah. I want to borrow the money then. And the kid, goes to the bank, and the bank says, you sure you want to do this, kid? Let's see if you'll be able to pay this back. Okay. You think you can pay this back? We're going to let you go. You don't have to pay anything until you graduate and get your degree, or unless you drop out of school. But then we're going to give you 6 months to find a job and start working so you can start earning money to pay the bill. Yeah, that's going to be so cool. That's going to be so great. I'll have a job. I promise to pay you back plus interest. Now here's the interest rate at 6%. You sure you want to do that? Yeah, no problem. Okay, here you go. So 4.5 months later, kid's got his degree in hand, no job, or he's underemployed in a job that he didn't study for. After all, he did earn a degree in underwater historical art. So he's looking and saying, "Wow, I can't pay this loan back. This is not fair." Is he blaming Harvard for selling him an overpriced degree? No. He's looking at the bank and said, you gave me this money. Well, no, we loaned it. Well, you loaned me this money knowing that I wasn't going to be able to pay it back. It's your fault. Well, no, you promised us that you were getting a degree that was going to get you a job that was going to help you pay back the loan. Well, this shouldn't be a loan at 6%. You should cut my interest rate. Well, it sounds like, looking at your financial situation, that you can't afford to even pay back the principal, let alone the interest. Well, yeah, that's why you should forgive the debt. Well, we can't do that. The government won't let us do that. Well, you should. Well, you want a gift then? No, I don't want a handout. I just want you to forgive the loan. Well, that would be a gift. Well, I can't afford to pay it, but you promised to pay it. Well, so what? And then you get Elizabeth Warren that comes along and says, yes, we should cut the interest rate in half to help these poor students afford to pay back. Miss Warren, first of all, if they weren't charged $250,000 from Harvard in the first place, they wouldn't have such a large debt. And therefore, whether or not they have 6% or 3% isn't going to make that much of a difference in their debt repayment schedule. The problem is they have a principal balance of $250,000 that they can't even afford to pay that back. It's all the bank's fault. You shouldn't have given him the money in the first place. We didn't give it, we loaned it. Because the government asked us to. And this is what's been happening. And now you have all these students saying, well, we're just going to default. Much like Greece. And a lot of these banks, they're not huge international banks. They're, some of them are local or small town banks. And the local depositors are going to be on the hook for this because these kids they can't pay back these inflated tuition prices that they were sold a bill of goods to. Now, nobody's talking about big education overcharging their students. We get all this notion, big business and big medicine and all that kind of stuff. They overcharge people. And what was it? Whole Foods the other day was being targeted and accused of overcharging their customer on certain foodstuffs. Like, okay. So, maybe $1 or $2 they're being overcharged for something. But is it really overcharging? Well, how about the tuition bill of these kids at these private schools? We're talking thousands of dollars, not less than $100 over a year. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars are being overcharged. And a lot of them are getting degrees that these colleges have just invented over the last 5 years that have no meaning and no usefulness, and yet they're charging them outrageous tuition, room and board fees in order to get these useless new degrees. Like underwater historical art. I know some of you out there in Rush Limbaugh's Real Linda are probably thinking, is there really a degree program for underwater or historical art? What is underwater historical? It is a facetious degree. It does not exist in real life. But the premise of what I'm trying to get across is there. There are useless degrees. And if there was a degree of underwater historical art, how useful would that be in the real world? It wouldn't be. It'd be absolutely useless. Well, it just shows you I'm trying to illustrate the absurd by being absurd and showing you that you're sending your kids off to these institutes of higher learning that are giving them fake degrees that are not going to lead them to any kind of job whatsoever because they don't exist in real life. And real business is going to look at this degree and say, oh, you have a bachelor's degree in underwater historical art. What are you going to do for me with this? And the student will sit there. Well, it's because, you know what? I'm a go-getter. Mr. Hiring Manager, I'm a go-getter. I'm disciplined. I sat down and I studied for 4 years to get this degree. And I'm a quick learner. Well, you didn't learn very quick to find out that this was a useless degree. Next. It's not the bank's fault when you borrow money. I don't care if it's for an individual for whatever reason, or if it's governments for whatever reason. If you willingly borrow the money, you owe it to those who loan it to you to pay them back. At least pay the principal. You can negotiate if you want on the interest rate, but you're still going to have to pay back at least the principal. And to say, well, we're not going to pay you is after you've agreed to pay. I mean, that's just the lowest of low. That in my book, that's kind of stealing, actually. No, I don't, look, I fully understand that some people, well, all I can do is pay $30 a month, man. That's really all I can do. Well, go ahead. Well, at this rate, it's going to take me 500 years to pay it back. Well, you're at least making an honest attempt. If really that's all you can do for now. Hopefully in the future, as you gain experience and knowledge in your job, you'll move up the company ladder, if you will, and earn a bigger, badder, faster salary that'll help you pay back the borrower. But you got to make some sort of effort, even if it's just $30 a month, if it's $3 a month. It shows some sort of self-responsibility that you borrowed the money, you recognize that you willingly borrowed it. The money really doesn't belong to you because it's borrowed money, and you have to attempt to at least try to pay back the principal. An honest to goodness try to pay back the principal. Now, see what Greece should have done and said, you know what, we can't give you a $400 million payment, but we got $100 million here. Can that do for now? That's what they should have done. But they just decided, well, we're not going to pay him anything. That's wrong. That is wrong. Plain and simple. That's how economies get hurt. Not only do economies get hurt by their governments or people borrowing too much, but also when you don't pay it back. It's just called a work ethic. You simply just have to go out there and do it. I know it can be tough sometimes, but we're talking. We're talking a modern country here, Greece. Greece is the first developed country to fall into arrears on payments to the International Monetary Fund. Now, the last country to do that was Zimbabwe back in 2001. Now, I don't know if you could actually call Zimbabwe a developed nation. But maybe, maybe the IMF is saying, yeah, they're a developed country. Okay. So they were the last one to do that in 2001. So Greece was supposed to pay back $1.8 billion to the IMF, and they didn't pay any of it. Nada. So who's that going to hurt? Well, it's going to hurt other countries that really possibly could use a loan or some help, assistance, because now the money isn't going to be there. We don't have an infinite amount of money. I mean, we have an infinite amount of wealth, but we have to go out and develop it and create it and harvest it. But we don't have an infinite amount of money. See, wealth and money are not the same things, folks. It's like, wealth and salary. You could be worth $1 million, but you don't have $1 million salary. Not the same thing. And I know too many people in this country think that it is the same thing. It's not the same thing. Not by a long shot. Well, some people are going to have to learn the hard way that wealth and money are not the same thing. Because wealth oftentimes is simply on paper. Wealth oftentimes is not actually real. Oh, yeah, my house is worth $1 million. Okay. But can you get $1 million out of it? Well, if I go to the bank, they won't loan me $1 million. Well, the only way you're going to get $1 million is if you what? Sell it. Yeah. Well, what if there's nobody out there who's willing to pay you $1 million for your house? Oh, what if they're only willing? What if the highest bid is only $900,000? Well, no, it's worth $1 million. No, if the highest bid is $900,000 cash, that's what the house is worth. It's worth whatever cash you can get out of it. Nothing more. That whole wealth argument is on paper. It's fleeting. It can be created and destroyed with a pencil eraser. cash is king, and it's not the same as wealth. Don't doubt me on this, folks. I don't know why I have to give people an economic lesson. I'm not even an economic professor or sitting in an economic, I'm not even an economic student, but I understand all of this. I don't know why other people don't.